For a long time, no event has had such a global impact on the world as the COVID-19 pandemic. However, its development over time was quite different in countries around the world. This video shows data analyses of the development since the beginning of the pandemic. The focus is on comparing countries. We're looking at the trends of daily new cases per country, based on the public data archive of Johns Hopkins University. The analysis is done with the software Visplor. You can get a free version on visplor.com for your own data analysis. Let's start by looking at the countries that reported the most cases. The list on top shows statistics per country, like the average number of new cases per day, the minimum and maximum reported on one day, and the total sum of reported cases, by which the list is sorted. As you can see, the United States had the most cases. The trend shows essentially 3 waves since the beginning of the pandemic. For India, there was one big wave. Some countries reported even negative counts, like France. These may be caused by corrections of previous numbers. We can simply select the outlier period and look at the values. Minus 47,000 on the 4th of November. Maybe this was a correction of the large number from 2 days before. Now, can we do something to compensate for such spikes? Yes. 7-day moving averages emphasize the trend very well. Now, back to studying some more countries. Brazil and India also had very many cases. Let's compare the two countries. Brazil had 2 waves, going down in between while India peaked. So we already see that the COVID outbreak was different for a few selected countries. But can we learn something more global about the evolution of the pandemic? Let's look at the heat maps view. Here, each row is a country, or a province in case of large countries like China. Time goes from left to right. Each cell is a calendar week. Let's select the Chinese province to explain the visualization. A red cell means high values, like here. And blue means low values, like here. So, the heat map shows the course trends of many countries at one glance. Countries with similar trends are ordered next to each other. For example, the Chinese provinces are similar, and all had their peaks very early. But when we scroll down, we spot other countries, where case numbers peaked only quite recently. For example, Zambia. Then we have countries with pronounced waves, such as Austria. The difference in absolute numbers makes it hard here to compare the time series, so we better switch to a normalized view. Let's scroll down further to see some different patterns. And add the Dominican Republic. And Egypt. Can you believe how different the timings of the waves were across the world? Interestingly, some countries are geographically far apart but still have similar trends, such as New Zealand and Mauritius. Now let's have a closer look at Europe. Here the patterns are more similar, but there are still interesting differences, like the starting point of the second wave. For example, Denmark had its peak more than a month later than Austria. Let's focus on the time from August till now. For this shorter period, we can even look at single days in the heat map. Wow, that's a big picture. We see how the waves gradually developed across countries. However, this visualization also shows that actually most countries have strong weekly patterns, like a drop in the beginning of each week, or in the end of the week. These cycles may be caused by different procedures for reporting the case numbers. Let's dig a bit deeper on that and compare the week profiles. Monday is the day with most cases for some of the countries, like Switzerland here. But look at Moldova, which reports the fewest cases on Monday. So what can we learn from this? The message is that numbers of single days are not sufficient to understand the current situation, but you need to look at averages of longer periods, such as weeks. Now let's turn to another interesting question. Are there countries with extremely similar trends? For this, we switch to another cockpit to get an overview of correlating countries. Let's look at Europe for the entire period since the beginning of the pandemic. Each cell in this matrix is a pair of two countries. Here, for example, Austria and Greece. Despite their geographical distance, they are correlated, which is shown by the strong red color. After a click, you can see their correlation in the scatter plot and in the time series view. Normalizing the time series again shows this even better. Actually, there is an entire cluster of similar countries that all correlate with each other. However, other countries have different trends. That's why these cells here are not as red. For example, the United Kingdom has recently seen quite dramatic increases. Could this have something to do with the mutation of the virus? And which other countries have recently seen similar increases? In the Target Correlation tab, we can set UK as a target for correlating it with all other countries. As we are interested in recent increases, let's only look at the time from December onwards. And here we are, a list of countries which have had strong increases since December. For example, South Africa ranks quite high, where another mutation has been reported. Furthermore, Gibraltar, Egypt, and so on. Unfortunately, many countries have seen increasing trends since December. The COVID pandemic is putting the whole world to the test. Exploring the history of its development around the globe can help to better understand its tremendous global impact. We hope this video sparked your interest in discovering new facets of the pandemic. We invite you to use Visplore to gain your own insights. Download Visplore free and get started with your COVID analysis within a minute. Which stories will you discover?